It's time for a little bit of leading off. Good morning, good afternoon, and maybe good night if you're listening to the podcast version of it. I am your host today, Chris Welsh. It's the Chris show. Yeah, Chris Clegg is in that. That's a horrible theme song. We really need theme songs here, Clegg. That's what we need. The Chris
That'd be nice.
show. Roto Clegg. You can find him on Twitter. Catch all the great stuff from podcasting to articles to prospect coverage and more. You can get all that cool stuff with Chris, and he's going to be hanging with me today. We've got some debuts. We had some big performances. And, funny thing, the very first comment in the chat made me chuckle behind the scenes here because Dang wrote, I only had two guys playing yesterday, and they both went 0 for 4. Those low output games always kind of kill me a little bit. Days where it's like you're in the playoffs, you're rocking, and like 5 teams play. And you might only have a handful of guys going on that day, especially when you have no starters going and all of your bad hitters all your bad hitters are the ones going, not the good ones. And you're sitting here and you're just like, what am I supposed to do, Clegg? What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, it's tough. Yesterday, kind of a tough day all around. So looking forward to a good Friday slate, though. It's going to be a good one, good weekend, hopefully, for all the listeners out there. I know it's playoff time for head-to-head leagues, kind of the final stretch for Roto leagues. Hitting that peak time. And hey, some people are checking out for fantasy football. So if you're still listening to this, props to you. I'm glad you're with us and looking forward to the show today.
We're still rocking ITL this week. We were talking about some weekend streamers, which weekend streamers are kind of tough this weekend. If you're trying to put something out, there's not a ton. I'd say I think Heasley's going today. I kind of like him. He went 8 last time he went against the Tigers. Didn't strike out a whole bunch, but went 8. He's been pretty decent. Jordan Lyles is scheduled to go Sunday. He was set to be a 2-starter this week, but he had that pushed. So there's a couple guys out there. There's not a whole bunch that you can put together, but it does seem like there are some decent 2-starters next week if you're going really, really deep. A guy like Cole Reagans might be a guy, but there are a few that you can dig into. But let's talk about what went down yesterday. Yamokata now that I hit that homer, hit a couple of them homers there when I get like that. And whenever I said Yamokata, Bachman pointed something out to me that I can be relatively articulate while also saying things really stupid. But there are a couple names that turn me into a different person. Cal Raleigh turns me into a different person when I say his name, and Yamokata now. Yamokata went 5 for 6 yesterday, hit 2 homers, 5 RBI as the White Sox beat the A's 14-2. Dylan Cease was pretty good himself. Moncada has been such a distant thought this year, almost a non-factor. If Moncada could pick it up through the back end of this last month, do you think there'd be anything going into next week or next year for you?
Maybe. Well, unfortunately, I haven't seen on the bench in a 20-team dynasty league this week and missed that yesterday. So that was tough.
What did you have in place of him? I'm about that because that's how bad Moncada's been.
Yeah, exactly. That's how bad he's been this year. Then a 20-team, I didn't even feel he was startable in a full Roto lineup that has middle and corner and all that. Let me see. I don't know. He's just been so bad that it's kind of just been. I had Bregman over him, but then in the middle infield, it's crazy enough. Sorry, corner infield, I had Keston Hero over him.
So that's the big key right there. That's kind of the point. Moncada hit 211 so far this year. That was more than 20% of his homer output in that single game. And it's closing in on it's actually a little bit over 10% of his RBI production all happened in that one game. That's how bad he's been. He's just been trash on the year. Strikeout percentage has been up, doesn't walk anymore. He's a good outlier, but it's not necessarily anything to get excited about. Wouldn't be surprised if he's out on the wire. Corbin Burns struck out 14 while throwing 8 innings of 1-run ball as they beat up on the Giants. It was part of a first on the doubleheader. Not to get nutty into this, but Corbin Burns with those big outputs, Dylan Cease has been solid. Do you think there's any consensus on what the top SP looks like for next year? Like number 1, number 2, even if I gave you top 1 and 2, because McClanahan with the injury and the kind of little bit of a fall off, DeGrom has come back, there's Verlander. Do you think there's any consensus of who belongs in the top 2, or do you think it might be a bigger clump of like 5 guys?
It could be a big clump, but if DeGrom stays healthy the rest of the season and pitches well, then I have a hard time seeing anybody but him at the top. But I mean, you could Burns is obviously going through a rough patch, but yesterday he looked the part again, so he could find his way back up in there. But I think you're right. I think if DeGrom's healthy, he's one, but then after that, it's kind of a clump of guys that could go anywhere from like 2 to 6 to 7, maybe.
That's what I think is going to be interesting. I'm probably going to be the guy that wants the end of a tier. If I'm going to be targeting, I probably don't want to start the tier of the pitchers, but between Burns and, you're going to throw Cole in there and McClanahan and maybe Cease, DeGrom. You can even throw, who am I for? I mean, I said Verlander. Oh, Alcantara, even though he's been tapering back a little bit. Like, I'll probably want the back end of a tier and Spencer Strider. Him on top of whatever the other guy is going to probably be my taste. Ken Rosenthal and Evan Drellich of The Athletic had reported that there was some expectations of new rules, but every baseball writer reported probably about 10 minutes ago that the new rule changes have been enacted and they will take place in 2013. A couple of the new rules are going to be no shifting. That's probably the biggest rule in here. There's going to be versions of shifting, but not like we know it. There's got to be, I believe, 2 guys on the one side of second base. So it's really going to kind of take that away. There's also a pitch clock, which Chris and I have both experienced for quite a few years here with the minor leagues. And the AFL is actually the first time that they experimented with it a couple of years ago in the Arizona Fall League. We both know that. And then they are going to expand the base paths from 15 to 18 inches. So any takes on the new rules and what, I mean, really, this is probably just about the shift and what that's going to do to baseball.
Yeah, so I started doing a little more analysis on shift last night and just looking at guys who have struggling BABIPs against the shift. And the top name that came up was Kyle Tucker, running a 247 BABIP against the shift and a 457 BABIP against non-shifted. And he gets shifted 91% of the time. But another one that popped up that was interesting was MJ Melendez. He gets shifted about 75% of the time, 203 BABIP against, 411 BABIP without the shift. So there's some other fun names on this top of this list, like Cody Bellinger. I'm not sure, what even to make of him at this point.
I mean, Bellinger's not very fun, but I know what you're saying here.
Yeah.
That'll be probably be the big thing. The big kind of buzzy article to write this offseason will be the players that will benefit from the lack of a shift. And you just you gave us a tease to one. MJ Melendez might be one of those players that it's not going to show up on the stat sheet or anything like that, but there are going to be players that are going to benefit from teams not being able to do these massive shifts. And if the players can take part in it. So very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. The base paths, I mean, maybe for stealing, it's a little quarter inch that's going to help a few guys out there. And the clock, if anything, the clock is just for us that go to games. It just, believe me. I know, I think I saw you tweet about it. Like, it's just a good thing. Like, it speeds the games up. I got no issues with it. It is rough when you get pitchers that don't want to follow the rules and then they start getting thrown like, an extra strike and stuff like that, and they get pissy. I've definitely seen that as they've adjusted, but they adjust quick. The games go quicker. It's not a bad thing.
No, it's been highly enjoyable this year. Like, a 2-hour minor league game is fantastic. Like, you get in and out, and you still see the same amount of baseball. It's just a better pace of play. There's the lack of batter stepping out and adjusting his batting gloves every pitch. Like, you don't see that as much. Now, it's going to be an adjustment for some. Like, I remember at the AFL last year, we were sitting there and Spencer Torkelson he stepped out of the box, I think it was, and they called him out. It was a third strike. And I remember Hans Kraus yelling at the umpire. Yeah. Hans Kraus yelled at the umpire, "Let him hit. This is what we're here to do." But they struck him out on it. I haven't seen many violations this year, but it could be an adjustment for at least some of the vets that have never experienced it before. So it could be interesting.
I wish I could find it real quick. It's such a funny, interesting video. But if you guys want, go onto my Twitter. And I think you can, on like the mobile apps, you can do a search. And if you go under mine, probably type in Hans Kraus, because I don't think I've tweeted about Hans Kraus since then. But yeah, he's pitching. I'm right dead center. I'm filming it. And Torkelson steps out and they call him out. And you can literally hear Kraus go, "Just let him hit." Just like he didn't want the at bat. Like, they all did not like that. And those are the things that they need to kind of figure out. And those are potentially a few things you might see. It's going to get a little bit more testy in the majors. Just pointing that out. Lastly, on the headline stuff, Josh Young is going to make his major league debut today. At least that is what is scheduled. They're not going to have any official lineups or anything like that. But I'd like to get your take on Josh Young. We've seen Tristan Casas. We've seen Tolia. Not that Tristan Casas is closer to Josh Young than Tolia is. Tolia is a big power guy. Casas can put up some batting average. Best of the contact hitters is Josh Young. Had a great power output for a short period of time in AAA. think he hit 6 in AAA, has 9 total in the minors. His batting average dipped pretty greatly, though. He's only got about 124 at bats under his belt over the last year and a half due to injury, and he's already making his major league debut. So what's your take on Josh Young and the aggressiveness you would be, if he were sitting out for people right now?
I think he's definitely worth an add in a 15 team for rest of season. He certainly looks the part, and I didn't really know what to expect with him coming back from a shoulder injury, especially this year. I mean, long term, really didn't have any concerns about him, but he's come back and really looked the part. He's hit for the power, which that was kind of the concern. Like, what kind of power output would he have post shoulder surgery? The field of hits always been there, good contact skills, and I think there's plus power in the tank as well. Obviously, it's kind of a mixed bag as to what you get every time a prospect comes up. So it's tough to say with Young, especially coming back from injury, but I am willing to take a shot on him. He makes this Rangers lineup significantly better, and he should play every single day. I can't imagine him not. Like, who's blocking him at third base. So I'm definitely about adding him and seeing where it goes at this point, because there's definitely the upside for him to be a solid contributor.
Yeah, and I'm trying to see if going over it, he's projected to hit 8 tonight. That's the projection that I'm seeing on the lineup. This is according to Fantasy Labs. When I pull it up, they've got Simeon Seager, Lowe, Adolis, Heim, Tavares, Cole Young, and then Josh Young. So hitting between Cole Young and Bubba Thompson is not the worst thing in the world. Lastly, just on that, I just point out, like, I was pretty impressed with how he looked athletically, because I've seen him a whole lot, but mainly just walking around the backfields with a sling on his arm. Looked like he trimmed up. He was faster than I remember. He's got a really good path to the ball. It's just, I personally think he's stuck between trying to become a power hitter and continuously being the contact hitter. And we'll see how that translates tonight. He's not the type of guy I would project like he's going to hit a homer in his first at bat, but I do think he's going to get a hit tonight. So I would be tempted if there was like a prop out there, if it was like a half, I would probably be tempted to take it with Josh Young getting a hit tonight. But makes his major league debut. Probably the last of the prospects that we're going to really care about getting a call up. I know Alec Burleson got the call up. Actually, I didn't even see what his line was. But other than that, I'm not. Do you have any expectation of any other prospect that might be waiting in the wings we get a call up on, or do you think this is it?
I feels like this is it at this point. You've seen most every major prospect that was MLB ready to get the call. So I don't really foresee any other big names at this point, unless something crazy were to happen. But I feel like this is kind of it right now.
Yeah, I'd also point out teams, agents, and players are getting pretty set for the Arizona Fall League. I did an episode of my prospect show, Prospect One, where I did the Arizona Fall League predictions, and each major league team sends out like 5 to 8 players to the Arizona Fall League, and I was predicting who those players are. I have some pretty incredible accuracy right now. I'd only been given a couple players, and then ever since I've done that episode, I've had a ton more confirmed that I've seen probably about 20 to 30% of the AFL rosters. And my whole point of that is like they're all kind of planning. And for some, teams are just not going to consider bringing up players so they can just, throw them to the Arizona Fall League. I think some plans may have changed, and who knows? I thought Josh Young was going to come to the Fall League. Maybe he still will. We'll see, but that's probably about it. Go Cards also mentioned Burleson 0 for 4 with a walk and a strikeout for Burleson in his debut. He also had a run. Nothing exciting. I know Andrew was excited about him yesterday. Not me, not as much as I am, but he's getting some playing time, and that's good. So on the injury front, Eric Lauer underwent an MRI on his strained left elbow on Thursday. He had left to start against the Rockies on Wednesday. He only went 2 2/3. He was diagnosed with a left elbow strain, and they said that there was encouragement on that. So whatever that means, if you're hoping, I've got Lauer available in a couple leagues that I've seen out on the wire, and I haven't picked him up. So that's where that sits. The other injury stuff, Yankees manager Aaron Boone told reporters that he's unsure if Giancarlo Stanton is going to play today. They said, we'll see, and he's not sure yet. So you're going to have to wait for official lineups. That really sounds like not going to, but we'll take a look at it. And then probably should have put the Brewers news together. Craig Counsell told reporters that Freddie Peralta is being placed on the IL. So I think that's his 1200th stint this year. And it's been kind of a forgettable year, I think, for Freddie Peralta. Had some inconsistencies as he gets like to the second, third time through the order, couple injuries, probably needing to move on. This was fun. Wonky put this on. This is via the Sporting News. I wish I could share this piece of art. We probably should. It's called "The Angels Team Leaders is Just Shohei Ohtani." And I don't know if you're looking at this, Clegg. As far as batting goes, Ohtani is the leader in batting average, home runs, RBI. So he's the Triple Crown Angels winner, OBP, and hits. And as a pitcher, he's the winner in wins, ERA, and strikeouts. I mean, he is a Triple Crown winner. He's a Triple Crown winner on both sides of the ball here. But, he's not the MVP, Clegg. Ohtani, he's kind of good. Kind of a good guy, right?
Right. Yeah. And if you want to start a good Twitter fight, just go post about Judge or Ohtani being the MVP, and somebody will come around.
I can't even do it anymore. I've talked about it so much, and we brought it up so much that like eyes roll as soon as it happens. So this isn't an MVP conversation. I just thought that was interesting because you'll definitely have players. I mean, who's the last player you think led their team in average homers, RBI, OBP, and hits alone? I mean, that's not that often. That's usually a Triple Crown thing. What, a couple years ago for Miguel, Vladdy maybe last year, right?
Probably. Yeah, I would guess so.
Okay.
I don't know.
Wonky
it's crazy.
This is a fun fact, not a conversation piece. Yeah. Just want to know. What's Aaron Judge? No, we won't do the Aaron Judge one. This day in baseball, 1977, in the second game of a doubleheader in Boston, Tigers rookie Lou Whitaker and Alan Trammell debut together. They will hold down the second base and shortstop jobs in Detroit for a record 19 years. And then Taylor Trammell will follow with every person on the planet, assuming his name is Trammell. And then he will have to correct them until he doesn't care anymore that it is Trammell. Let's go over to some stat heroes, Chris. Yoel Moncada, as we mentioned, 5 for 6, 2 homers, 5 RBIs. There was a trivia question. I decided not to put it on there, but it was about the last White Sox player to have 6 hits. And I don't know why they chose that, because Moncada had 5, but assuming he goes 6 for 6, and not putting it on there, but it was Alex Rios, who had 6 hits as the last player for the White Sox. So Moncada's performance, pretty good in White Sox lore as of recent. Alex Call, 4 for 5 with a homer. Romy Garcia had a homer going 4 for 5. Just the hits in Chicago, unbelievable. Yadier had 2 bombs. Miguel Andujar had a homer. Cesar Hernandez, 3 for 4 with 3 RBI, 2 runs. Elvis Andrus with a homer, 2 RBIs. Brendan Donovan, 3 for 3. Seiya Suzuki had a homer. And Alec Boehm, 2 for 4, 2 RBI. Elvis Andrus really has been such a whirlwind of a pickup for a lot of teams. I don't know if you picked him up anywhere. I've been trying to tout him in a couple different spots. He is helping me out greatly across a couple leagues.
Yeah, it's crazy. I really didn't pick him up anywhere. I didn't think he would be this relevant, but here we are, and he's just been extremely good since he came over to Chicago and looks like a different player. I'm not really sure what happened or what switched in his head, but he's on it, man. He's been absolutely stellar. I was going to look and see the numbers since he's come over. 291 average with 4 home runs, and most of that coming pretty recently over the last, really since September, since the calendar turned, where he's just been really good. Yeah, 333 with the 4 home runs since August 31st. So 692 slug.
That's my big thing. That's my big thing. Leading off for the White Sox. Like, give me that all day. And there's a couple pickups in there for you guys, too. I mean, Alex Call, Cesar Hernandez, if he's available. Brendan Donovan continues to just, like, be sneaky across the board. The only other one on this I want to ask you about is Suzuki. What are your projections on him for next year? It's been a so-so year. He had that incredible, like, contact rate at the beginning of the year. No chase outside the zone. Then he got hurt. Then things kind of tempered a bit. Where do you think where are expectations going to be for you with Seiya Suzuki? Do you think it's just going to be a middle line outfielder, or do you think he's going to be a good buy for next year?
Well, I think he could be a decent buy, and people just write off these kind of players so quick when the expectations are so high, and then they underwhelm a bit. I mean, Suzuki's season's still been solid and still putting up good contact numbers and really good end zone contact rate. And you saw how quickly, and obviously you look at what Ha-Seong Kim did last year, and I would say it was not as good as Suzuki's season, but he was just completely written off. So when the expectations are high for a player making their major league debut and they just kind of fall off a bit, then it creates a good buying opportunity. So
Yeah.
Suzuki will be interesting next year. I have zero clue where he goes in drafts. I'm not even gonna try to guess because it could be literally anywhere. But I would speculate it's a decent buying
I feel
opportunity.
like he's going to be around like between the 120s and 150s. I think that's going to be the general sense of where he goes. But I think I kind of agree. I like the statement of like, the high thought process about a player. They struggle a little bit, creates buying opportunities. I mean, I want nothing to do with Spencer Torkelson this year at all. But there's that little part of me that's like, if someone was in a keeper league dynasty, if someone just wanted to get out from under, I'd be tempted to rebuy just to see if he can pick it back up because the tools are there. It's just, the skill set is not applying any of those tools, unfortunately. Over on the pitching heroes, Corbin Burns, yes, he struck out 14 and 8, but there were some others. Dylan Cease went 6, struck out 9. 8.5 was that under bet that they liked. Did not. I would not bet against. He got that. He got 9 on there. Only gave up 3 hits. 2 walks, too. Maintaining those walks is important to see him for his future. Luis Cessa had 8 strikeouts and 5 2/3. Adrian Sampson struck out only 1, but went 6. Gave up 1 earned run, 5 hits. And Freddie Peralta, before getting hurt, did go 2, struck out 3, gave up no hits before that injury. On the stat zeros, David Villar, 1 for 7 with 5 Ks in the doubleheader. Bryce Harper, Joey Meneses, Gleyber Torres, JD Davis, and Stephen Vogt all over with 3 Ks. Meneses, we just needed that 1 hit. That was that number 1 prop that Betting Pros really liked, and it was juiced to hell, but it did not work out. 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. On the pitching side for the Zeros, JP Sears gave up 6 earned runs with 2 Ks. Josiah Gray, 4 earned runs and 3 1/3, and Kyle Gibson, 4 earned runs and 5. He only struck out 2. JP Sears had a little thing going there for a tiny bit. Still might get a rotation spot next year. Those rookie pitchers, they've been kind of difficult, especially those out of nowhere guys. But the Sears of the world, the Wisniewski's, I'm forgetting Waldachuk with them. Yeah, the A's have put a couple guys out there. Are you interested in any of those streamable A's pitchers? And Wisniewski, by the way, is with the Cubs. But
yeah, Waldachuk's interesting. He actually pitched well last time against the Braves. He allowed a couple long balls. He can leave the fastball, over the heart of the plate some, but overall his arsenal is pretty good. So he's interesting in the right matchup. Like, obviously, I wouldn't have streamed him against the Braves. Hayden Wesneski, obviously not an A, as you said, but I think he's got good stuff too and kind of underrated. So I would prefer both those to Sears down the stretch, but Sears could be interesting in the right matchup too.
yeah, not this last one. Waldachuk is someone that I really dig. I loved him with the Yankees, and I love the idea that he has the potential to get into the starting rotation. Someone I might try to buy really, really dirt cheap in Dynasty next year for people, just because that's a guy that if he were able to start out in the rotation next season, he's a guy I think that could put up some sneaky numbers. Good strikeout option, good arsenal of pitches. A's are not a great team, but that's just one of those guys I would take a look at. I've been reminding you guys to do this, so hopefully you have. But September, Fantasy Pros wants to give you an Austin Riley 2021 signed World Series ball. Guess what? Chris Clegg is a Braves fan. Look at that flag back there. I'm pretty sure you're eligible, Clegg. Wouldn't you like that? All you got to do is, I'm assuming you're eligible, is you got to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. And somebody that does that in September is going to win a signed World Series ball from Austin Riley. Pretty good deal. Pretty good deal. No update as far as a physical board, unfortunately. So don't shoot the messenger. I did not get a new home run board, but I can tell you nothing changed as well. If there was a board yesterday, I would share that because the top did not change whatsoever. They're literally nothing. Nobody hit anything. You still have D Blum and Cat Fox in the lead at 49. They both had some Cardinals guys, Arenado and Goldschmidt yesterday. Elskell and High Cubby are tied at 48. Go Cards at 47. It's a tight race. You guys got to get some homers. Joey P still on there. Mike Mayer's still on there. So home run contest getting pretty crazy. I've got some props for you. And of course, I can't find it. Here we go. With our friends over at BetMGM. Yes, I wear tiaras for BetMGM. If I had a crown, I would do that. But unfortunately, this is my bit now. Yes, BetMGM. Use the promo code leading off. You guys are going to get hooked up with a $1,000 risk-free first bet. when you do it. BetMGM also has a whole lot of other cool stuff they do with they throwing out free bets and promotions. I just got I had a deposit promotion that I just put down, and already gotten 2 free bets out of it that they were putting out. So go and check them out today. Leading off as a promo code BetMGM. Make some fun bets, and maybe one of these bets we're going to do, you're going to dig. Here's a couple props. You guys know the deal of how I do them. I'm going to give you 2 strikeout, give you 2 hitters. One's the top play with juice. One is the plus play. And the 2 pitching ones, we've got Jason Alexander, Seinfeld. Cincinnati at Milwaukee, 2.5 strikeouts. Projection is 4. It's minus 175 on DK, so it is lots of juice, but you only need 3 strikeouts. The plus play for K's is Lucas Giolito today. It's at 5.5. He's projected at 6.7. It's against the A's. That's plus money 110 on FanDuel. For the hitting side, Dermis Garcia is back, and guess what? Dermis Garcia yesterday was plus money to get 1 hit, and it cashed. He got it. It's minus 120 today on DK, but you only need 1 total base. And then Christian Walker is your plus money play. It's at Sugar House plus 105 for 2 total bases against Colorado in Colorado. So I kind of can dig that. So, Clegg, what do you dig here? You got Jason Alexander, 3 strikeouts, Giolito 6. You got Dermis Garcia for essentially 1 hit, or Christian Walker with 2 total bases. That could be his 1 homer. Any of these you like, or multiple?
I like both the plus bets. I like Giolito to get 6Ks or more. He's been pretty bad. There's not much other way to put it, but against Oakland, I do like the matchup, and I could see him easily breaking 6. I like Walker as well. I feel good about Walker's chances to get 2 backs tonight, whether it be 2 hits or a double, home run, whatever it be. I mean, Walker's been swinging an extremely hot bat, and you throw him in Coors Field, there's not much better matchup there. So I like both those bets.
Yeah, and I don't blame anybody that got into that space of dropping Giolito. It's so shocking how bad it's been. But this is a pretty good matchup. He's not lighting it up on strikeouts, but he's got a pretty weird, like almost every other of 5 to 7 strikeouts. There's one anomaly in there, but it's like the 2nd of August, 7, the 7th, 5th, the 13th, 7, the 18th, 5. I mean, the 30th, 7, 5. We're up to the 7. So this is a good marker. I kind of like the strikeouts if you want to play that game. Lucas Giolito been just like a massive, massive disappointment. Jim's got a couple for us too. Liking Voth, 3.5 strikeouts. I very much like that one. And Brandon Bayo. I probably went on the Bayo one, but I like the Voth. Voth is actually kind of sneaky a little bit today. And remember, the ones I'm giving you here, this is from bettingpros.com, the MLB prop cheat sheet. This isn't necessarily me picking apart a whole bunch of them, but giving you what the top of their algorithm says and then what the plus money is. But it is a really cool tool that you guys can go and check out to see what the algorithm spits out, and then maybe you guys can figure out some of your decisions as far as those go. On the DFS side, Miles Michaelis is at 10 on FanDuel. Lance McCullers, 8.8. Lucas Giolito is 8.2. And Austin Voth, I even put on there, is 6.6 if you guys want to get crazy, even though that's a single pitcher platform. DK is you're going to have 2. The prices really aren't out there, but I can tell you Michaelis was like 8.8, I think, over there. So that's a pretty big difference. Implied run totals, Arizona and Colorado both projected over 5, as is Philly. So if you want to build some lineups around those guys, I think Colorado and Arizona is a good shot. Herman Marquez can play well at home, so you got to be careful, but both of those would be relatively solid bets if you want to do it. And finally, it takes us to the home run call. Chris Clegg, who do you think is dropping a big fly today?
You know, it seems to be the common choice, but I'm going to go with Aaron Judge. I think he's due again. He's chasing the record. So I feel good about Judge's chances tonight facing Drew Rasmussen. I like the pick there with Judge. So maybe a popular one, but that's my call for tonight.
Yeah. Do you think it's popular one, Clegg? Do you think Aaron Judge might be a popular one, maybe?
I mean,
just possibly you and Joey. Well, funny enough, Mike Mayer's got Rhys Hoskins, and that was my first one that I was going to go to. And then I'm like, okay, I'll just move off. And then I went to Bo Bichette, and I saw Wonky at Bo Bichette, and I'm like, all right, I can't. Every guy that I have my gut call on, I can't just move off of because they have it. So I'm going to ride with Wonky. I'm riding with Wonky. Are you? for this Friday. I'm going with Bo Bichette. Mike Mayer's got Reese Hoskins, and as he points out, even though Patrick Corbin is super good now, Mike Mayer sent us that horrifically terrifying tweet of how good Corbin's been over 3 starts. Nope. Big old Jordan Peele. Nope. I will not do it. I don't even care if he's good or not. I will still bet against him. I'm not doing that thing with Patrick Corbin. No chance. No way. No way. Chris Clegg on Twitter at RotoClegg. What's going down for you right now?
Not much. Just grinding out the end of the season. High minor league balls ending this week. So we had a couple games this weekend. Get some final looks before, sadly, the minor league season ends. And just grinding the regular season content for fantasy. And you can find that over at FantasyPros or Fantrax and the Toolshed podcast as well. So a lot of prospect dynasty coverage. Quick grades will be out if they're not out already, or by tomorrow morning for next week for hitters. So that's what's kind of on the docket, man. Just
there you go.
Finishing hard.
Doing the thing. Wonky said she's got a sidecar for me. I really should have matched. This. How much better does this look? The color. This is the matching color. Wonky said it's okay that I'm riding. She's got a really cool sidecar for the scooter you can ride. Tiara required. However, tiara required. Well, friends, I'm going to take my tiara and I'm going to get out of here for the week. We are back next week. Yes, the same time as far as the live stream. Come and hang out with us, by the way. If you guys are listening on the podcast and you guys are just ending out, we are still talking baseball. We are still rocking with you. Yes, football is going, but we are not stopping with it. Come hang out in the live stream. We got a killer community, killer set of people, funny stuff. We had a poll. It was a trivia question that was in there. You guys should come and hang out. Come hang out with us. And maybe next week we will make it maybe a listener question week, I think. I was thinking maybe every person that we have on, we will take a little dedicated time and answer some of your guys' questions live on the show as it's playoff time. All playoffs should be intact next week, so let's do it. You can find me on Twitter at @IsItTheWelsh. All the other stuff I do is there as well. We've got baseball podcast breakdown. I do some other football stuff that you'll see. And coming up in the future, prospect update, dynasty update, and early look at 2023 redraft ranks at inthisleague.com. Friends, I'm out. Clegg is out. You're out. Go win your playoffs. Stream some good pitchers. Get some guys. And we'll see you next time. Peace.